Welcome to the Shmuley Show, everyone. Kamala Harris called the war in Iran bullshit. I don't like cursing on the air, but she said it, and she was the vice president, and she called it bullshit. We're going to talk about that. There's a 15-year-old in China who seems like he has been found guilty of rape and murder, and now there's pressure in China to put him to death, a 15-year-old. Ceasefire in Ukraine for 3 days. Does it matter? Trump is the one that announced it. And at the FDA, Marty McCary is out, and he seems to have blocked, according to the Wall Street Journal editorial page, some critical drugs. And let's talk about him a little bit as well. I don't know him. But here we go. Kamala Harris said that the war in Iran is bullshit. This is the woman who was part of an administration that sucked up to Iran, brown-nosed Iran, placated Iran, and appeased Iran. Now, I want to ask all of you to, for a moment, take away your biases, take away your Trump derangement syndrome, or take away your Kamala derangement syndrome. I want to talk to you now from the heart for a second. There's one thing to say America is involved in too many wars. We should be stopping Iran from brutally killing women for showing hair and stoning women to death and killing gays and, of course, killing nearly 50,000 of their own people, protesters. It's one thing if Kamala Harris were to say, look, this is all horrible. The Iranian regime is despicable, but we're overextended and the price of gas. That would have been a fair criticism. I would have disagreed, but to call it bullshit. Let me ask you a question, and Kamala, now I'm speaking to you right now. And remember, I got to start doing that thing like Jon Stewart does on The Daily Show. Let's go to camera two. Kamala, let me speak to you. Kamala, let me talk to you for a moment. You are an African-American, Indian-American woman. You have, thank God, through your own striving and your own hard work, you have achieved great things. You were the DA for all of California. You were a senator from California. First female black senator from California. And then you were the first ever female vice president of the United States of any ethnicity. You called a war to stop women from being stoned to death, as if this were Stone Age times. You called that bullshit? You called that bullshit? It's one thing to say you disagree with it, but you called it bullshit? Your mother is from India, which is a great country, but still suffers from a caste system where boys having a baby, that's a boy, is praised, and having a girl is seen as almost a tragedy in some circles. I love India, so I'm not hitting India. I'm hitting the prejudices that remain among perhaps hundreds of millions of people in India. And Iran is 1,000 times worse. India doesn't put women to death for not covering their hair, and you called it bullshit? Do you not care about human rights, Kamala? You're a Democrat. Your party officially supports LGBTQ rights more than the Republicans, even though I give President Trump tremendous credit for getting rid of so much of the homophobia that exists in the Republican Party. We never hear about gay marriage in the Republican Party anymore, and that started when Trump had Peter Thiel, openly gay, speak at the Republican convention in Milwaukee, 2016. I was there. Okay. But even so, Kamala, you're a Democrat. It's bullshit to stop a gay Iranian man, if he comes out or if he's found to be having sex with another man. Do you know what they do to him? They string him up. They put cord around his neck. Then they attach him with an iron hook to a construction crane. And then they push a button that elevates him as he suffocates to death, or as his spine breaks, as he is asphyxiated. He dies, and then his body is left as carrion, a corpse, to be eaten by vultures for days on end. And you called a war against this regime bullshit. No, you're full of shit, and I don't like talking this way. You are. You know, Kamala, I kind of liked you. I didn't vote for you, I have to be honest. I never say who I vote for, but I didn't vote for you. But you have a Jewish husband who seems to be a proud Jew. I think you are a friend of Israel. You always have been as a senator, as vice president. You could have been a bit more of a friend, and you were used as Biden's attack dog during October 7th, but you're a friend. This isn't about Israel and the Jewish people. This is about being American. This is about being a child of God. You called the war bullshit. You don't care that 47,000 people were murdered in the streets. You saw the videos. You're tuned into the news with 50 caliber machine guns, a 50 caliber bullet's this big. Can you imagine what that does when it hits a child? It doesn't kill them. It rips their body to shreds, and you called it bullshit. You could have used but you know why you did it? Because you're just prostituting yourself for votes. And by the way, the word prostitution doesn't apply only to women. There's plenty of male prostitutes. In politics, there's probably more male because there's more male politicians. In politics, there's so many male prostitutes as well. You're just prostituting yourself for another shot at the presidency. But are you going to do it by trampling on human rights? Really, you should be ashamed of yourself. You could hit Trump on inflation if you want to, the way he hit you on inflation. You can hit him on the cost of oil. You could say the war is not going well. I disagree with all of that. I think Trump is achieving phenomenal objectives. He's bankrupting Iran. But bullshit. When did America lose its passion for human rights? I know that we're overextended. I know we're sick of the endless wars in the Middle East. I know we're sick of Vietnam and Iraq and Afghanistan. I get it. That doesn't mean that we call the abuse of human rights in a country that tries to stop it bullshit. That's overdoing it. You know what, Kamala? Now you lost me completely. You don't deserve another shot at the presidency because you're showing that you have no conviction. You know, Trump is castigated as a man of low character, low morality, whatever her name is, the porn star who sued him. This is either a moral mental block in my head because I don't want to speak Lashon Hara, the evil tongue against our great president, or it's a senior moment. You decide. What's her name? Whatever. Stormy Jackson. Was it? Stormy Jackson. Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels. Did you say Stormy Jackson? I think you're having a senior moment. Trump is always presented as a guy with low character, but look what he did. Look at the moral clarity he has in Iran against his base. You can't say this. He's doing this for clicks or for votes or for donations. His whole base is opposed to this. He has moral clarity. This regime wants to destroy America with nuclear bombs, wants to have another second Holocaust against people like your Jewish husband, Doug Einhoff, and your Jewish daughters. Iran would kill them. Iran would murder them. Iran would pay Hamas to rape them and behead them, God forbid. And you said the war against Iran, which is funding all these proxies, is bullshit. Kamala, you should be ashamed of yourself. That was your lowest moment as a politician. And human rights, they were being abused all over the world. And I know we can't fight every war, but we could fight a war of words. Like in China right now, I don't know all the details of this 15-year-old who raped and murdered a woman, but they're calling for the death penalty against him. Now, I'm pro the death penalty after every appeal has been exhausted, after definitive proof has been brought that this man or woman who did this committed a murder. I am pro the death penalty when we're certain that this is the perpetrator. We can't make mistakes. We have DNA today. A lot of mistakes were made before DNA. There's a great play on right now on Broadway starring Adrian Brody, the two-time Oscar winner, who portrays the first person who was ever exonerated. He was going to be put to death. He was first American ever exonerated by DNA evidence, and I think that was in 2015. The play is called something 35, whatever. It's an amazing play, and I went to see it, and I met Adrian Brody briefly. I had once met him at a party. He didn't seem to remember. But in any event, I'm pro the death penalty. But for a 15-year-old, China is such a barbaric government. So why do they have power? I'll tell you why. I don't know if it's made in China. I'm guessing that it is. This was made when I did Shalom in the Home. You can buy it from Shmuley.com. This book is not published in China. It's published right here in the United States of America. Our brand new book, Comeback Nation, me and my son Mendy, printed here in the USA. But I think that may be made in China. I'm not sure. Maybe India. Why does China have so much power? Because we Americans love cheap crap. Because we love buying cheap crap from Amazon. I confess it. I would much rather buy something that costs $30, and I don't check if it's made in China, but it probably is, than costing $200 and it's made somewhere else. We're all addicted to cheap crap. So we've empowered this brutal government that may put a 15-year-old to death because we love cheap crap. Now, that's not an immoral thing. We need to support our families. I want to buy my grandchildren, I'm going to get them bikes either today before Shabbat or Monday, whenever, God willing. And I'd rather pay $200-300 for a bike. It's probably made in China than $1,000 made in the United States. Look, the iPhones that we're using right here, they're made in China. And they still cost $1,000. If they're made in the USA, they cost $3,000. I get it. But we're empowering an evil regime that may put a 15-year-old to death. And I'm asking myself, is there nothing more that we can do to promote human rights as Americans without bankrupting ourselves, without sending our military everywhere, at least like public condemnations? Here's an example. Kick China off the United Nations Security Council. Why do they have a veto? Why does an abominable, dictatorial, brutal government have a say in human rights and a veto in the Security Council? So you're going to say, well, the UN would never take them off. Then the United States should withdraw from the UN. We pay 1/5 of the UN budget. Why? There's many things we can do without losing our manufacturing base, producing cheap crap in China. We could also move a lot of it to India, by the way, and other countries. I love India. India is a democracy. China is not. There's a lot we can do, but we don't care because human rights is no longer a top American priority, which is a great shame, It should be. It's one of the reasons I love America, because we're the most moral nation on earth. Does that mean that we've always been perfect? God Almighty, we had slaves 150 years ago. God Almighty, we had Jim Crow and we had segregation 50 years ago. I get it. But we're the first modern republic, democracy. Even that, 250 years ago, it was white landowners that could vote. I know all the history. But look at how we've evolved into the most moral country in the history of the world that reached its apex with the greatest generation who defeated Hitler. And with all the mistakes we may have made in how we prosecuted the war in Afghanistan, look how many women we saved in Afghanistan from the Taliban stoning them to death, which is now all back as if it never happened. Look at all the progress we made in Iraq. And again, we kind of lost that war too because it's difficult to see these things through. It is. I know the problems, but I'm still saying we should have a passion for human rights. America is birthed on a single idea that people are born to be free and they have infinite dignity. And yes, our Declaration of Independence was inherently contradictory because Thomas Jefferson, who was a slave owner, wrote they were all created equally under God, and he actually owned slaves and he didn't even free them, unlike George Washington when he died because he was too indebted. Slaves were worth a lot of money, property. He had one surviving daughter who gave him 6 kids, I think, and all the Jeffersonians come from him. And of course, then he had 6 kids with Sally Hemings, his slave. Some people say that she loved him, but sorry, you can't have sex with your slave because she has no agency. She has no free choice. That is rape, okay? Half of Thomas Jefferson was a truly great man. Half of him, how do you describe someone who did things like that? I don't want to say it because I love Thomas Jefferson, but it's self-evident. A man who could do that, own slaves and have them whipped. And he still wrote the Declaration. America's a nation of great contradictions. We're trying to end those contradictions, but we're still the greatest nation in the world. And we have to speak about human rights. Which leads me to Trump speaking about the ceasefire in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is a brutal killer and a dictator. All of you out there, especially some of you in Magaland who defend this killer, especially like Tucker Carlson has no morality. He was the first to defend Putin. And remember what I always tell you guys. If you allow someone to come after the Jews, we Jews are the canary in the coal mine. They'll come after everyone else. Putin, it's funny because Putin, the Jewish community in Russia kind of loves him because they say he's protected us. And of course, the Jews were slaughtered under Stalin. And Stalin had a plan for essentially a Holocaust after he defeated Hitler. So many contradictions. He was going to send them all to Siberia. But then he died in 1953 of a cerebral hemorrhage. Or some people say Jewish doctors killed him. But then again, it's us Jews, as you saw in my debate yesterday with, what was his name? Anyway, it's us Jews who kill everybody, obviously. That guy, that Islamist who said I'm going straight to hell because I'm a killer and I'm a murderer. I haven't even killed my quota of Gentile children today and drunk enough blood. But I will. I have a daily, now that I'm hitting 60, it's 3 Gentile children per day that I have to murder and drink their blood. It increases with age. You would think the opposite. It should decrease, but we Jews need more Christian blood just to keep us young, just like vampires. So Putin's this killer. And I feel so bad for the Ukrainians because everybody forgot about them. Like, they don't even make the damn news. This war has gone on for 5 years. Now, Putin has been indicted by the ICC, but the ICC is corrupt, so nobody takes him seriously. They put Netanyahu and Putin in the same thing. Do you think Netanyahu ever killed one of his political opponents, you dummies? Naftali Bennett? Okay. The ICC has no credibility. Putin has been ostracized from the G7, which became a G8 with Russia. He's out of that, and he can't go to a G20. I don't even know if he can come to the UN General Assembly. He probably wouldn't risk even coming to New York. He sends Sergei Lavrov, his foreign minister, but it's not enough. We have to stop buying Russian oil. We have to build a pipeline across Europe so we don't need Russian oil. We need to bankrupt Russia. I'm not saying to go to war, God forbid. We have enough wars, but we can bankrupt Russia. Russia is nothing but a gas station with nuclear weapons. Now, we can't take away their nuclear weapons, but we can take away the gas station part and not buy their oil. Look at how much America is being hurt just by the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. We could have immense sanctions against Russia. But again, we all want cheap gas. The solution probably is to move to EVs. No, and I get it. EVs also need energy and ultimately, okay, but still better than gas without all of that. I only drive EVs. I hate gas-powered. And this is not a advertisement for Tesla because I love Elon Musk, but I don't drive a Tesla. I have a different EV. Sorry, Elon. I hope we're buddies, but I just confess that. And please, I hope you'll take my calls, God, because I love you, Elon. You're a fascinating man. You must be the most interesting man in the world, aside from me. Second most interesting man in the world. And Marty McCary was kicked out of the FDA. I don't know a lot about it, but the Wall Street Journal editorial page, which is brilliant. It's what I read every day. For news, I read the New York Times amidst its progressive liberal bias, but the New York Times is still the best news gathering source on earth. And all of you MAGA people, I just lost you forever, but it is. But their editorial pages I never read, with the exception of my friend Brett Stevens. And Maureen Dowd occasionally. I like her. She's a great writer. No, the New York Times has a lot of great writers. Tom Friedman, I never read anymore. He's just he's a burnt out, self-hating Jew, Israel hater. And just, how many times can you tell him how much you hate Netanyahu? You come up with a new subject, Tom. You won 3 Pulitzer Prizes. But when it comes to editorial pages, I go straight to the Wall Street Journal editorial. So the Wall Street Journal editorial page is under the great Paul Gigot, has been on a tear against Marty McCary. And they're saying that Marty McCary just bats away every damn drug that has been proven to help things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, but especially cancer. I'm friendly, as you all know, with Bobby Kennedy Jr. When he was nominated by President Trump to be Secretary of HHS, I said to him, your uncle is one of the things he's most remembered for, the great President John F. Kennedy, taken from us way too soon by a horrible assassin, and I'm not into all the conspiracy theories. He was taken away from us by James Earl Ray. What he's most remembered for, maybe, is the moonshot. How does a man in 1963 at Rice University, I think it was at Rice University, predict that within 6 years the United States would land a man on the moon? Space exploration was just in its infancy. We had just put John Glenn into orbit for the first time. We were at the Mercury missions and then Gemini. We didn't even get to Apollo. I don't think that JFK even ever saw the Apollo rockets, the biggest rockets now Elon Musk has made even bigger rockets, but he never even saw. How could he have predicted that? But he took all of the resources of the federal government and we landed a man on the moon. And that was an incredible prophecy on the part of JFK. So I went to Bobby, his nephew, and the namesake of one of the greatest Americans that ever lived, JFK's younger brother, Robert Kennedy Sr., who was killed by a Palestinian, Sirhan Sirhan, on the 5th of June, 1968, shot in the head at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, where my mother once worked in a bank before Los Angeles strangely knocked down the Ambassador Hotel. Yes, they built a high school with Bobby Kennedy's name on it, but still, we don't have enough history in America as it is. They knocked down the place where one of the greatest Americans that ever lived was assassinated. Dumb, stupid, but be that as it may, I said to Bobby, why don't you do a moonshot to cure cancer? I lost my mother to cancer. I lost my mother to stage 4 cancer. How many of you, that was 3.5 years ago, and I'm nowhere near over it. I have a picture in my house, me and my mother smiling together. And I told my wife, Debbie, the other day, I said, Debbie, you need to take it away. It's just too much pain. And I said, no, you know what? I changed my mind. I have to confront the pain. I'm not over my mother's death. My mother was misdiagnosed. They said that she had rheumatoid arthritis. That's why you got to get checked out. She had terrible knee, rheumatoid arthritis. It was a giant, Gabe, help me here. I'm having a senior moment. Tumor. And she had stage 4 cancer. And we lost her a month after that. Terrible. Why aren't we devoting all of the resources of the federal government to curing cancer? Yes, heart disease. Yes. By the way, all of the weight loss drugs, I believe in them. because one of the biggest issues with clogged arteries and of course diabetes is obesity. And we Americans are freaking obese. So I'm in anything that's safe. And I'm fully vaxxed. I love Bobby. It doesn't mean I agree with him on everything. He is phenomenal as HHS secretary. And after Trump, he's the most popular person in the federal government, according to CNN, of all things. I think he's at a 48% approval. A lot of people hate you. A lot of you guys hate him because of that. Well, I'm fully vaxxed, but I love what Bobby says about eating healthy and getting rid of the pesticides and getting rid of the artificial flavoring and all this garbage and the sugary stuff. I never let my kids have this garbage. I even hate Diet Coke. Give me fizzy water. I hate plain water. But I love fizzy water. But all this, and Bobby has been the voice to make us healthier. I love Muhammad, Make America Healthy Again. And Bobby's a great man. We're good friends, and he's a very special, great man. But he should launch this moonshot to cure cancer. Because unlike, like heart disease, which is the biggest killer, we know a lot more about it. With cancer, no matter what we've thrown at it, we've made progress and people can live, kids with leukemia used to die, and now I know someone who had leukemia at 11. He's still alive, thank God. That wouldn't have happened half a century ago. But still, cancer is literally killing us everywhere. And McCary, according to the Wall Street Journal, was blocking so many drugs that it seems that it's a good thing that he's out. But the American pharmaceutical industry is the best in the world, and we need research, and we need pharma, and now, does pharma often abuse its position? Of course, like anyone else does, unless they can't go unchecked. But, I'll never forget this. I once debated Andrew Sullivan, the famous writer. He was also president of the Oxford Union. He was at Oxford before I was there. And today I think he used to be the New Statesman, whatever. He used to be very conservative. Now he's become ultra-liberal. We had this amazing debate at a university. It was a Christian university in Oregon. I'm talking maybe 15 years ago. And it was the first time and everyone was attacking big pharma. And he said, I love the pharmaceuticals. I said, why? And then he said, I have AIDS. He said, I have HIV, which has led to AIDS, and I'm alive. And he's still alive. He said, and I'll tell you why. Because of the pharmaceutical companies who created drugs that stopped men, especially gay men, from dying. And he's a gay man. And God bless the pharmaceutical companies. So the FDA's got to work with pharmaceutical companies responsibly to ensure that America remains absolutely the most creative country in the world for the best drugs on earth to save lives. There is no greater moral imperative than saving lives, which is what brings together my show every single day. If you wanted to sum up this show, it's not a rabbi talking about Israel. It's not a rabbi talking about Judaism. It's not a Republican criticizing Democrats. It's not a MAGA guy criticizing, I bring up the anti-Semites, but that's not, this show is about human life. It's about the dignity of human life. It's about human rights. It's about, for all of you out there who hate LGBTQ, and maybe you have a biblical basis for it, but where did the hatred come from? Okay, so you could oppose. You could say, look, I'm opposed to gay marriage based on biblical principles, but I love them as God's children. That's a fair position. I disagree even with that, by the way, for reasons I'm not going to get into, but that's a fair position, but you hate? Or I hate all Muslims. Listen, I hate all the Islamists, like the guy I debated yesterday, because Islamists are not Muslims. They are a political movement that wants to annihilate the West and annihilate Jews. But I love my Muslim brothers and sisters. But even if those of you say, well, Islam has involved so much terrorism, you can't say you hate Muslims. You could say Islam needs a reformation the way Christianity had a reformation. Fascinating, was by Martin Luther. It turned out to be a guy who wrote that Jewish synagogues should be burnt. One of the worst anti-Semites. Why does so much good, why does it always have to be tainted by anti-Semitism? In any event, you could say that you disagree with Trump's policies and you're a Democrat. Thank God we live in the two-party state. But you hate Trump or you hate Kamala Harris? I just very fairly criticize Kamala Harris, but I don't hate her, God forbid. I've just given up on her politics. The hatred has to stop. The only hatred which is valid is hatred of evil. If you tell me that you hate Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who murders women, I hate him too, and he's rotting and burning in hell. If you tell me you hate the IRGC, the Islamic Republican Revolutionary Guard Corps, that you should hate them. They're evil. If you hate rapists, if you hate terrorists, if you hate Osama bin Laden, I believe in kosher hate. I wrote the book Kosher Hate. I don't believe in turning the other cheek, and neither did Jesus. Jesus said, turn the other cheek to your enemy. Your enemy is not God's enemy. Your enemy is the guy that gave you some little insult. Overlook it and forgive them. That's what Jesus meant. Jesus did not mean turn the other cheek. If someone rapes your daughter, let him rape your wife as well. Jesus was not stupid, and he was not amoral or immoral. He meant petty slights. And when Jesus said, love your enemies, yes, your enemies, the guy that takes your parking spot, the guy that cuts you off on the thing, don't have road rage. That's what he meant. But he didn't mean God's enemies. You're supposed to hate the Iranian mullahs, not the Iranian people. They are suffering, being brutalized and murdered and slaughtered under the Iranian mullahs, which is why when Kamala Harris says that this war to stop these mullahs from slaughtering women, torturing them to death at 22 years old, because they dared to show their hair when she says that war is bullshit, I call out her bullshit. You live in the West, Kamala. It's easy for you to say that the war is bullshit because no one ever frickin' put you in prison because of your hair. No one ever put you in prison because they accused you, rightly or wrongly, of infidelity. And I don't think you're guilty of that at all. But in Iran, you would be stoned to death. So don't tell me this war is bullshit. Your criticism of it is bullshit. It would be one thing for you to say, we need to bring down the regime, but I'm opposed to doing it through war. That's a fair position, even though I think it's unrealistic. But to say the war is bullshit, yeah, it's easy to sit in frickin' Los Angeles or San Francisco or San Diego, wherever other haunts that you have, or Sacramento, in California with all the freedoms where women can walk around in bikinis, or even a nudist colony, or they can go to the nude hot tubs. What's that famous place that became so famous in the 60s? In Big Sur? What's the name? It starts with an E. Gabe, you should know this. Okay, too many freaking senior moments. Okay, you can go totally naked in California as a woman. You know what's going to happen to you? Nothing. Zero. But in Iran, you show hair and they'll torture you to death. So please, Kamala, take it back. Shabbat shalom, everybody. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And do not forget, Comeback Nation, you could order it signed from Shmuley.com, SHMULEY.com, SHMULEY.com. You see my 4 IDF, these, even the pictures. By the way, should you buy a book for pictures? Sometimes. I'm into the cover matters as well. Look at pictures of my 4 IDF children. Look at the pictures of the war. Look at the picture of what they did to Shani Luke with her, poor woman, 22 years old. Look at what they did to her, these animals. This was the AP picture of the year. This is the most incredible book. It reads like a novel, but everything is true. And you will discover how this tiny little country called Israel, the size of this desk, fought after October 7th. How Israel annihilated its adversaries in a severed front war for survival. Written by my IDF hero son, Mendy. Written by me, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, co-authored. First time. Watch the debate that I did. What was the guy that I debated again yesterday, Gabe? What?
Sheikh Suleiman.
What?
Sheikh Suleiman.
He's a sheikh? What do you mean he's a sheikh? He lives in London. How did he become a sheikh?
Imam, yani, I don't know.
He's not a sheikh. You just...
handle, Sheikh Suleiman.
That's pretty arrogant. Are you kidding me? I didn't call him out on that yesterday. I debated someone who's a fake sheikh yesterday.
It might be a sheikh.
How is he a sheikh living in London? A sheikh is a princely title.
No, it can't.
What is he? What is he, like the Prince of Harrods?
No, sheikh can be prince, but a sheikh is like a rabbi. It's like an imam.
No. A sheikh is more of a political title. It's not true.
It can also be a imam.
A sheikh is a political princely title. Maybe he's an imam. That's very possible. You want to tell me his handle is, what is it, sheikh what?
Sheikh Suleiman.
You're kidding. Okay, you know what? Change my title right now. Duke Shmuley. I just declared myself the frickin' Duke of New Jersey, okay? I debated a fake sheikh. I mean, the guy lied through his teeth. He was a flat earther, and the moon landing was in this. By the way, Gabe, should we tell people how historic our studio is? That the moon landing was filmed here? I know we're not supposed to say that because then all the visitors would want to come and see it, and we're Neil Armstrong. Remember all the takes we had to do for him to step off the thing, and I kept on saying to him, Neil, the line is that is one small step for man, one giant leap for man. He couldn't get it. Remember? We had take after take after take, and then remember they were unionized crew that day, and they didn't want to film anymore. All in this studio, the moon landing. I debated a flat earther yesterday. He said that Israel killed 500,000 people in Gaza. That's 1 out of 3 residents of Gaza. And he called, what a liar. These guys just, and they tell big lies. Little lies people catch you out on, but the big lies, okay? I didn't realize that one of the big lies is that he's a sheikh. He's a sheikh. Gabe, you are my brother, my producer, my colleague, and my friend. You did not tell me before I debated him that he calls himself a sheikh. You didn't have. What do you mean that's his handle? So if I call myself King Charles Shmuley, I mean, is that credible? Pope Shmuley. Okay, I want to freaking, you know what? Screw Duke of New Jersey. I am Pope Shmuley the First. Change it now. There's no more Rabbi Shmuley. I am Pope Emperor Sheikh Prince Shmuley the First. I want that on Instagram right now. Oh my gosh, guys. So many fraudulent people in this world. This guy that I debated yesterday, suddenly a sheikh. I'm going to call him out on that. Tell, what's his name? Who did the debate yesterday? Tyson Hockley? Okay, I want to redebate this guy. I want to know what kind of frickin' sheikh is. And you tell him that Pope, get it right. Say it loud and then I'll end. You need to leave. So only if you say it right, I'm going to let you go, Gabe. What's my new title?
Pope.
No. Go through the whole thing. Pope, King, Emperor, Duke, Count,
Shmuley.
Earl,
Shmuley.
Chevalier, Shmuley. One more time. I'm going to give you one chance to say it. Pope,
King,
Emperor,
Duke,
Earl, Chevalier, Prince,
Shmuley.
Count, Shmuley. Did we buy the URL right now?
Mm-hmm.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Gabe, Shabbat shalom. I love you, Gabe. Thank you for everything you do to make the show excellent. Gabe chooses the topics, and he's amazing. He's my buddy. He's my brother. I love him, and I love all of you, and God bless America.